got it wrong.
You have like you have a couple of minutes, Danny. Okay, I'm gonna turn my phone off.
Go on top. There's 3 Maryland.
Marilyn showed up. Thanks, Marilyn. Hi, Carolyn. This spotlight player.
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
Carolyn gonna lead the meeting from there. Do you want my help or? You need my.
Let's see. Carolyn, John Hughes is out sick today. Do you want to call the meeting to order in like 3 minutes? Or do you want me to ask Katie to do it in the room?
If you can do it in the room. Sorry, my audio is being funny.
Well, we can hear really well. You sound like you're with us.
Okay. Okay. Hold on just a second. Yeah, I'll wait a few minutes.
Okay, Lisa is going to do it. Come on, I guess we have people coming in online today. Hi, Lisa.
I had every intention of being there today and then things just went out the window.
Well, we're glad you're with us.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. I had every intention of being there and then I got a phone call that just threw my day completely out the window.
Well, we know how that is. That's why we like this option of being able to do it online. So thank you.
I think I'll go ahead if you think everybody who's gonna be here is, I guess.
How late do you think, Robert? Oh. She says she doesn't have a Zoom link. It's just that no, Elise. Let's see, I'm gonna share that.
Yeah, I had to go digging for it.
Yeah, it's on your, it's a regular reoccurring one, copy link. Okay, let me put that in the link.
Can you all hear my dogs in the background?
And they're so cute.
They're singing to us.
Oh my god. They're locked up too, but that's how loud they are.
Yeah,
kind of
no,
dogs?
yeah,
It should be in the email, the recurring email.
yeah, it's in but that's okay. I sent it to Elise.
That's,
Yeah,
is that YouTube on the agenda?
Oh.
Yeah.
but it's a reoccurring one in those calendars. Yep. Hopefully everyone uses a calendar. Let me send it to you.
It is 750 plus.
Is it one or two?
Either works.
Okay.
And it's couple
She said she was bad.
50, the number, and then P LUS.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And same password for the other one as well.
Okay, are we ready?
I just sent, let's go ahead and do, yeah, let's get started, Carolyn, and then we'll go there.
Okay, so we will call the meeting to order, and we can start with the roll call.
Okay, Elise Sweetnix.
She's here.
Here. I see you, Elise.
Here, I'm here.
Annie Batey.
Here.
Bonnie McGregor. Carolyn Scarborough.
Here.
Catherine Murray. Deanna Tapia. John Hughes. Excused. Kathleen Lemke.
Here.
Katie Doppler.
Here.
Karen Bolliker. Lisa Haynes.
Here.
Lynn Tribbett. Lorinda Knight. Mark Kiernan. Raymond Kelly. Marilyn Daly Blair. Ashby here. Kanoy Barth. Excuse. Jasmine Celio. Bonnie Kadich. Wendy Kilgore. And Heidi Miller.
They're all excused.
Okay, is there any introductions or announcements?
Yeah, yes, we do.
Hi, I'm Caroline Bacon. I am the Center 50 Plus social work intern. I'll be here through the beginning of May. Thanks for letting me join you.
Want me to close the door?
Yeah, any other announcements from the group?
No?
We're gonna go ahead and do an information sharing because we're not gonna make any decisions, and because I know that Karen Bolliger and Raymond are en route. So that would make it. So you can just keep moving through these. We cannot approve the agenda or the minutes.
Next door.
We don't have a quorum, so we're not gonna be able to do any of those approvals, but we can move into comment time, and visit. We'll just wait. We're not gonna make any decisions today, but we can discuss what we learned this last week and we can move through that.
But when our other two come, then we have a quorum.
Yeah, when we have the other two show up, we can go back and vote on, the minutes. So for the record, today we will not be doing any voting or we can report, but we won't be doing any like movement.
But we could, once we have a quorum,
Yep.
if there was a reason. Oh,
We
Okay.
can go back
just
to it.
clarifying.
Mhm. Well, Carolyn, thank you for opening the meeting. We can turn it over to Katie Dobler to do the strategic planning discussion, if you're okay with that.
Yes.
So in the room today, we passed out the key themes from our stakeholder meeting. And I will go ahead, we passed them out in person, please get put in their email as well. Okay, so you received the stakeholder meeting summary, and we're gonna discuss that today. And then, so Katie will take it from here.
Okay, thanks. And then we sent out the survey. I was just logging on to see if I could get how many results we've had. So we'll continue to talk. I'll see if I can figure that out on my iPad instead of my computer. And hopefully it sounds like you said you responded.
I
So
did
we'll see
mine.
how many folks have responded as of today. We gave them some time to respond, as you saw. Yeah.
Feedback.
So I just took the great notes that were taken. Thank you for taking notes. And I just used AI to have it help me put it into a visual aid for everyone to see. So hopefully this is a helpful document, kind of outlining the 5 key themes. And Marilyn and I were talking about this when we met on Friday. And a lot of these things are themes that have been known and that are already in the strategic plan, the previous strategic plan. And we were having a dialogue about the fact that a lot of people didn't necessarily seem to know what we were doing. And so maybe part of our strategy needs to be better communication with the community around the work that we're doing. I don't know if you all felt the same. Resonate. Because around reaching beyond the walls and the infrastructure. We've talked about inclusion gaps as well. And I think the conversation around volunteerism, I don't know, Marilyn, that's not necessarily in the strategic plan because I think that's just more recent in terms of it declining and people maybe not volunteering as readily, younger people coming
Throughout
into
the
volunteer.
community.
So that may be something that we want to look at further. And then that black box, what's standing in the way of an age-friendly Salem, kind of brings all of those topics together. Any of them that stand out to you that you didn't leave the meeting with, but after reading, the summary that kind of resonated or that you want to talk about?
I think what I was giving just an opportunity to kind of digest what we heard. It reminds me, of course, of the themes of what they're saying and how those are included in our strategic plan in a very broad sense. Meaning, citizen leadership, the whole thing of that is volunteerism. And we've always seen it as kind of our role is for volunteerism at Center 50 Plus, or even volunteerism for seniors. But is this a time to talk about being a mentor to another generation for volunteerism? Could that potentially be a role? I think we've always, if we're thinking about the big pieces of this, which was outside of our walls. If you look at our strategic plan, it's about collaboration and program. If you look at our age-friendly communities, it's about outside of our walls, serving neighborhoods, serving communities. I would think that a natural theme of that is serving as a community mentor on things that are important to carry forward. And volunteerism has got to be one of those things, or the whole community is going to crash because we're very reliant upon them. So I think identifying that as a problem, not a problem, but something that we can address. An opportunity. Yeah. Is, okay, we're really good at volunteerism. Center 50 Plus actually brings in about 200 new applications a year. That's like a significant role. And that doesn't even count the groups. That's just people that register and go through the whole process, but these clubs and groups that volunteer through us. We kind of have an expertise in this area. How could that be something that we gift to the community? Because it's a win-win. It gives seniors purpose. They're volunteering. They being asked to lead and mentor is a gift as well to our population. And then it's this win-win. So I marked that as a real high priority.
Oh, in the veteran community, we have the same problem. In my, American Legion post, I have 74% membership that is 75 years old and over. I cannot get younger people to join. So what we're going to have to do actually is consolidate things. We just don't have enough people. And I think it's a great idea what you're putting forth and a necessary idea. Just for my input, but it is. All veteran communities are dying.
Yeah.
You have, anyway, I could go on for an hour.
Annie.
Marilyn. Sorry. I've been thinking about the whole concept of volunteerism since we had that stakeholder meeting, and I think the center does a really good job at even just going forward, maintaining that awareness of volunteers are probably other than financial, the biggest resource that the center has. And how do we nurture that? Because, these are people that don't have to be doing this. We're doing this because we want to. But looking forward to the potential shortages in the future, how can we, Chemeketa is a partner, Western Oregon is a partner, although they may not be recognized one for the council. How can we get in front of some of these younger populations and talk about what it is that the center does, I guess, volunteer recruiting out in the community in places to start planting seeds and explaining the benefits of the intergenerational stuff. So those were just kind of, my thoughts, because I've done recruiting on college campuses and it could easily be, I think, that skill set for anyone really transferred to recruiting volunteers.
Yeah, Annie.
I had two thoughts that just jumped in my mind. Trying to attract the younger generation. One would be with Act Now that, and maybe there's already a component where they interact with the current volunteers to build a relationship that might bring them into volunteering. Rather than, and again, I don't know, maybe it's not we show up and we do it for you. But we show up and we do it with you, which gives the relational piece. The other, and can't say whether this is practical or not, but with the intergenerational things, seems as though a gap for younger volunteers is potentially having a place for them to volunteer with their children or where there is childcare available. So that, because depends upon the situation. In some cases, young families are isolated and feeling the need to have support. And they would love to volunteer, but they also have to have a way for the kids to either participate or have a space for themselves. And again, I can't say whether that's practical or not, but I see that as, what's their need, what's our need, how do we match those needs? And
I think that barriers to volunteerism, I think there's more barriers than just having families. We have these barriers and I think as an organization, maybe identifying barriers for the community volunteering, really understanding why are families or younger generations not volunteering? And I mean, we can guess, there's a lot of financial strains out there. People are working 2 and 3 jobs. There's a lot, we have kind of a cool thing because people often, when they come to the center, they are in a pre-retirement or retirement phase, and so they're seeking things to do. But we also hit them hard with the new language, which is it's actually a part of your healthcare plan. You know, volunteering is good for your health. If you want to live longer, volunteer. You know, it reminds me of churches. There's a couple of very large church groups in this world, and they have millions of volunteers. Well, it's because they get to a better heaven. You have to find something that is just really that, I mean, I can't compete with that, but we can say health benefits. So I think we have a natural for our drawing in people for volunteers, but that then means what could we do to help younger generations feel the same urgency? Like we want to live longer. So boy, by golly, we're going to volunteer because it's good for us. When you're young and you don't have health concerns, that's not a sales pitch to them because they aren't living in that place. But one of the other things that we did talk about is, and have been talking about, it's in our age-friendly communities, is when we talk about intergenerational volunteerism, we have identified education. Third graders and juniors in high school are both, they know that those are common timeframes where you can make a difference. That's why DARE targeted that, you know, in that age group, is because they're still at a very, they're not jaded. They're still in a learning phase of you can still really reach them. You know, is that something we want to stick in there? You know, is that something that as seniors, we could get into those schools and mentor changing the culture and outlook on volunteerism? So I think those are kind of more like in the weeds, but I think for like the purpose of our plan, just really saying volunteerism is key and that we have a role to guarantee volunteerism continues in the future. You know, those are some goals, that we have a role and that we see ourselves as an active role in that. So.
I like the plan.
Yeah.
But we just don't have the incentives. And that's what I think the younger generation's looking for. Like you're saying, what's in it for me? Why should I do this when I could go hang out with my friends instead? And I don't, crafting those incentives to make someone want to step up and say, I really want to be a part of this. This is great. And I'm not sure what that incentive is. I mean, honestly, the gap is there is so huge. When I was growing up, it was just part of what you did. It was kind of a natural thing. You volunteered at church, you volunteered as you got older, you just did. And something has changed so radical that now people sit back and go, so what do I get if I do this? And I'm not putting it down. I think very really, the incentives are not there. We could go in and mentor. I agree with that. Mentorship programs are really important. But that's what you hear, whether it's a church or a school or anybody. Well, what do I get if I do that?
I did see that Elise had her hand up, followed by Lisa.
Yeah, you know, I think the most common barrier to volunteering is just conflicts in schedule and, you know, time and stuff like that. So I think it's important to really clearly communicate, especially to the younger generations, time commitments, you know, what kind of lift it is, hours and stuff like that very clearly, because I think they need to know that. I don't think people necessarily, especially younger people, don't exactly know what to expect. Is this going to be an 8 to 5 job? I can only work in the evenings. I'm only free on the weekends, kind of thing. But also, a lot of times they just don't know that these opportunities are available. So my question is, how are we outreaching to these populations? Like I know we have that volunteer fair, but how are we getting the word out to the younger generations?
Well, it sounds like, Marilyn, to your point, it's the center, you have more than, I mean, you know, like more than enough volunteers. So how can you use that strength to help the community in terms of volunteers? But the volunteers that you're getting are not, they're older, right?
Right.
Nearing retirement.
Primarily, yeah.
Right, right. Because I know that when we recruit volunteers, you know, it kind of ebbs and flows. You find yourself having a whole lot, and then you'll see a decline, and then it goes back up, and there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason to it. But part of the thing that we've done at the association is just to really get creative with outreach. And, you know, we found if you don't ask people, you know, they're not going to respond to it. So we've kind of made it a part of all of our programming to include this volunteer piece into everyone that we outreach to. You know, you can always volunteer as well. You can get involved. And I think the main reason people are interested in volunteering is they want to help. I mean, I really think that's the core of it. They want to help, and they want to know how what they're doing is helping.
Well, I know that like for like the volunteers here at the center, most of the time, the reason they volunteer is they want to see something, they want something too. They want their program to go. And we're a volunteer-driven organization, so when someone says to me, I want Bunko, I say, that is awesome. If you'll need to volunteer to run Bunko. How do we get the same kind of ownership out in the community? How do you get people to be like, I want this to happen, or I want this park to be open, or I want, but how do you motivate them to want to help causes where there is no incentive? There is no outcome. Most of our volunteers here there is this thing. They're not just doing it out of the goodness of their heart most of the time. Most of the time is they want the lapidary open so they can polish rocks.
Right.
So they are getting an incentive. It's how do we make that same kind of incentive? That's a really good point, Elise. Thank you. I see Lisa's up there too.
Hello. You know, I hear a lot of really good points about the time commitment and just getting them involved, but I think the younger generation are very involved in political issues, in climate issues, in equity and inclusion issues. So I think it's a matter of utilizing what Elise suggested, getting creative with outreach, but also getting creative in the messaging of what it is that we're asking, what our needs are, you know, like C-Tech, the high school has that program over just down the street on Portland Road. Do they, you know, could maybe they're part of their graduation or part of their classes come do a 2-hour tech support, so to speak, at the center, or, you know, identifying the volunteer needs, not necessarily creating new ones or new roles, but changing the quote unquote job description to something that will resonate more with them. Because the other thing that we're seeing is, and I can speak to this from personal experience, a lot of the younger generation are disconnecting from their elders. Like there's a huge epidemic of adult children that have voluntarily estranged from their parents. And in a lot of cases, that translates into their grandparents as well. So there's not that intergenerational connection as much as there was 15, 20 years ago. So, you know, I would be happy to kind of dig into what some of that messaging, how we could come up with things that might resonate better and bring something forward at the next meeting.
So thinking about, I'm just taking just typing in here, volunteer shortage and an intergenerational just gap with estranged. Okay.
And just they're volunteering, they're volunteering in other arenas that resonate with them personally. So how can we make the Center 50 plus, and maybe not on a grand scheme of, hey, we need help delivering 2,000 meals every month. How can we do it too? We impacted one driver has a positive social interaction with 12 people any given, what I mean? Take it down more to the micro, because to an 18-year-old, it needs to be something manageable. They can't wrap their hands around how in the world do you deliver 2,000 meals. I couldn't do that. No, but you could have a positive impact on 12 individuals. Does that make sense?
Well, I know you made a really good point though, is, the reason, I mean, I watched a little show on this, but political divisiveness is one of the reasons children are breaking away from their families. It started during COVID. Even the handling of COVID was dividing families. And then it's led to politics. And so it's, yeah. And I also think, our role, though, what we kind of have to decide, what's our role gonna be in that area? Are we gonna be a leader? Is that the term we use, that we're gonna be a leader in building volunteer connections and opportunities? The other thing is we say that's great. Let's get thousands more volunteers. The majority of nonprofits they actually don't have full-time volunteer coordinators. So we can recruit till we're blue in the face, send over 40 people over to an organization, but when they arrive there and there's no one to manage them, it falls flat and they leave. And that's how we get a lot of bounce back, is they go and nobody is there to greet them or to guide them. Some of your larger nonprofits, but just even here at Center 50 Plus, I mean, we went years without a volunteer coordinator. So to be an effective volunteer group, volunteer-driven organization, you gotta have some structure. You gotta have some leadership. And so maybe that's something we put down, is just how do we support and encourage a professional level of management of volunteers as we address volunteer shortage.
So have we approached Salem Kaiser School District instead of coming from the bottom up, have we approached them?
Yeah.
To say, is this something that could be part of a forward-going curriculum that within their X class, they understand about volunteerism? Maybe they get a credit for doing it. I mean, a larger scale of reaching into the school districts and seeing if we could get their buy-in. I don't know if that's even accomplishable, shall we say, but
Well, there is an organization in
that would be an
town.
incentive.
There is an association of volunteer coordinators, MVVMA. And I think that we need to engage them. Yeah, we need to engage them as these
Bigger scale.
volunteer managers to go to the school and say, hey. So I think, but we could be a part of that. We could be a piece of it. Yeah.
Well, and also
Volunteer management.
engaging them to
MVVM.
Mid-Valley Volunteer Managers Association.
I would love to be a part. Because to me, that would be something that as a student, it's like, oh, that's what I will do and I'll get a credit for it. Instead of why?
That does exist in certain classes, like my daughter has to volunteer a certain amount in high school.
We should get
Credit. She has to do it, so you have to elect
It's
to
already
take that
there?
class.
And we go in and we capitalize on that. If the structure's already there, then yeah, Center 50 could be a real vital part of that work.
Am I on here?
I see you. Hi, Karen.
Hello there. Well, I've had some personal experience, some very, very positive experience with high school volunteers. And I just called 2 schools and then I got a couple of callbacks. And these ROTC kids are not doing it for any credit. It's fascinating. And they don't need any kind of letter or any kind of, time card saying they're doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, which I think is pretty interesting because I was all ready to write something for a class. So, so then like we were just talking a few minutes ago about volunteers and getting something out of it. In this case, these kids aren't. They're just doing some grunt work for my husband and I.
May I address it? The JROTC are mine.
Ah.
I have them working, they work for me. I work with their leader, Colonel, retired Colonel Affolter, Jason Affolter. They do get credit they may be doing work for you. And that's because they have to fulfill certain requirements, but they do get credit. There is a what's in it for me. They in fact get 3 credits throughout high school for it. So, and they're training to go into the military. That is the purpose of JROTC, is to take them into the military world, much different than any civilian world. Just to put that forth. But have we investigated maybe having a focus group of younger people that would give us an idea of where they're coming from and where the disconnect is between generations? Because I'm one of those, the post-Nixon era that said, I'm not doing a darn thing unless there's something in it for me. Why should I volunteer? I'm just not gonna do it. So, and I talked to the younger generation of veterans and they're saying, why should I join your organization? How is it relevant to me? And I think I agree, that's a huge deal, the deal. I was just wondering if we have investigated the possibility of a focus group to bring people together and talk about that issue.
When we did our age-friendly communities, we did a multi-generational conversation. But again, that was 2018. So I mean, there's plenty of opportunity to do something of that nature again.
And Marilyn, I'm hearing a lot, which is great on the high schools, but keep in mind too that probably half of the high school generation doesn't drive. So even looking bigger at Chemeketa Community College, Western Oregon, there's the different like programs that train medical assistants that are over 18. Looking at what other groups are utilizing volunteers in that age of 18 to 30.
The alphabet soup one more time.
MVVMA.
MVV.
VV, 2 V's. MVVMA. Were there other things, Katie?
I just thought this kind of led nicely into the fact that we need to have another round of discussion with, there was a lot of partners that didn't show up. Are there other people like the Volunteer Association that we should be inviting to the table, to our next, discussion? Because I think, we had some great discussion the last time, and I think that we need to hold another session, not with the same people, but with people that were not available. We talked about, no, that can't be right. I think that it must be 4/9 because we wanted to do a longer lead time. My notes say 3/9, but that can't be right from when you and I talked.
Yeah, we were thinking April.
Yeah, April 9th it must be.
We were gonna look, what day of the week is that? Is that a Wednesday?
It is Thursday.
A Thursday. We were wondering if we could have a room here at the noon hour on a Thursday in a small classroom. Do you think that's possible? I think so.
You need a projector.
No, we don't need a projector, do we?
No.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would be an okay date. I think we need to repeat it because several of our really big partners that are instrumental in our community were unable to make it. That time period. So if we could get on their calendars now, that would be great.
Yeah, and so, we talked about doing the same time, 12:30 to 2. I think that worked for people. The 9th,
9th of what?
April.
This, who's the group you're? Looking to-
It's people that weren't able to come to the
So
last
if you
one.
came to the
Yeah.
last one, then this is an extension
I
for
think
you.
she's gonna talk about
Okay,
that.
good stuff.
Right.
And what are your thoughts about the SCAC members?
Yeah, I think it was great to have you in attendance, and you're welcome to join the meeting on the 9th of April. And we want to make sure we're hearing really from the partners. So really being there as listeners and you know, of course, if there's something to add or kind of a question to ask them as like a follow-up question, we would encourage that as well. If you have, of course, if the conversations are, I think it's important to really hear from them since they're not at the table and, you know, on a regular basis, right?
And some of those groups, YMCA, Croc Center, Chemeketa Community College, they were not represented, and I know that they're very important to us. And that's just a few examples. We had a list of, I don't know, over 40 names, so we had seven folks, yeah.
7 partners.
7 partners, so it's opportunity for us to really bring in that group, because I want to hear from those voices.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna put that down, 12:30 to 2, April 9th. We'll do a light lunch again. And so that letter is gonna go out. We're gonna send that out this week,
Yeah.
so they can be on their calendar.
Same letter
a month in
essentially.
advance.
And maybe we could attach, might be helpful to attach the themes from the first key stakeholder meeting, just as.
Good morning,
you
this
know.
is Lisa.
Oh, Lisa, you're unmuted and you're answering a call.
Okay.
So I think that could be helpful as well.
Question here at this point. Would it be a benefit to include, and you know my put on this, sorry, other senior organizations that are struggling with the same topic of where's our volunteers? Not necessarily your stakeholders meeting, although when I did open my mouth at your meeting the other day to talk about being more inclusive with other senior organizations, I couldn't help but notice Northwest Senior Disability Services. Yeah, they were like this, you know, I mean, you can see that the benefit is also for them. So they're now talking about, and I keep using the word umbrella. So they would be talking to seniors all up in Salem. Period. I'm all for Center 50. Trust me, I am. But I think it's the time that we need to be looking at structures of this versus this. Inclusiveness is what I'm after. And I think it's a benefit to all entities.
So the way that, I
Wouldn't
think
that-
that is so important, but they don't
Not
want to be.
stakeholders.
They don't want
I
to
know that.
be. And so,
It's the same problem.
right. And the reason they're shaking
Incentive.
everyone's, but they like their organization and their structure, and there's this fear, maybe a little bit of fear of being told what to do. And so we actually have formed a network. It's of all the senior centers in Marion and Polk County. It's all by invite. That's all, every person in those 2 counties have been invited. And of those, the local ones have not joined. And
Oh.
there is actually money. We have a donor who has put forward $100,000 to give mini grants to these other senior centers to help
Yes.
raise them up. And we are struggling in that area, but we're gonna continue because we agree. We agree that collaboration and working together is so important. But Kaiser, you've been here for a long time. So Kaiser and Salem Senior Center were one. We had a church split. That's how they then, and they raised $400,000 while under Salem Senior Center. Raised $400,000 and through a court process, took the money and opened Kaiser's and built Kaiser Senior Center. Now, that was many moons ago, in the 90s, early 90s, before me. And you still, on occasion, hear that story. Now, South Salem and us, we don't have that history. Cool group of people, they're clear out south, they didn't want to come to Northeast. They wanted their own structure, their own vote. They wanted to be able to say who could or couldn't come. And as a public entity, we don't have that luxury. Y'all come. That's just the rules. And so I think that you are spot on, that an umbrella type of structure where we're serving all seniors together, you are right. And I think that that's what this age-friendly communities goal is. We have like so much work to get there. And it's a plant the seed, but I want you to know that is probably one that's not going to happen in the next year or two. It's going to be years of building those relationships.
Well,
Really years. And
What's the
so
name of the network.
it is under the Center for Community Excellence. And they have formed a senior center coalition. And it includes Mount Angel, Staten, Woodburn, Monmouth, Dallas, Salem. There's 9 of us, Kaiser and South Salem.
They formed a senior citizen.
It's Marion and Polk County Senior Center Coalition. And it's being led by Mountain Center for Community Excellence, which is a foundation. And they have dedicated time and support for relationship development. I know we have hope. The reason I know we have hope is each and every time they get a new president, they contact us and want to do a tour. Their members, well, not Kaiser, but the members are saying, on occasion, the members will say, have you been there? You should go check it out. And there's always a desire to grow and to try new things, but we have some work to do. Yeah.
As we did with volunteerism. So I mean, I see the two coming together.
One of the questions that always comes up at budget committee is, what's the difference between Center 50 Plus and South Salem seniors? And, I always say it's an apple and an orange, but they also always say, well, why do you get the funding? Well, we started with the city 50 years ago. They did not. They didn't come to the city and say, hey, will you let it help us start a new senior center? They actually said, we don't need you and we want to do our own thing. And so it's just an apple and an orange. It's a club environment. This is a community center. It's just, that's just, and so how you merge those? We will always invite them to the coalition. We'll even invite them to our stakeholder meeting. It does lie with them because our openness is there.
And so many of the folks that started South Salem Senior Center are no longer amongst the living, to put it nicely.
And that's Kaiser too.
But what's the sad part is that the stories remain. That's what I've always heard. Let me tell you what happened with Center 50 Plus.
Well, South Salem does not have a history. Only Kaiser. So their storytelling, we had no breakup with them. We were,
But more of a apple orange type feel.
yeah, they joined 25.
Make some applesauce.
They joined 25 years after we were in existence. So they're the new ones to the show, but there was no split. And
The hesitation is that.
they come here. They're seniors go wherever there's a program that fits their
Right.
want. So I mean, a lot of our people come from South Salem Senior Center. A lot of people come from Kaiser Senior Center and they come here because they want a certain thing. They want the lapidary, they want a yoga, this thing. They have what we have here, but they still have their love for their duplicate bridge club out at South. And they have their dances at Kaiser and they're loyal to those.
Those are privatized
activities.
clubs versus
They're privatized,
yeah,
that's right.
and that's also.
Yeah,
That's the apple orange.
If I may, just for Kaiser, I was city councilor in 2000, anyway, without going through the history of all that. There is a definitive split between Salem and Kaiser, and that is not going to be healed. Kaiser sued to leave Salem. It was at one time part of Salem.
But for example, you have Bonnie McGregor on your advisory commission, and she served on the Kaiser Senior Center Board of Directors. And she operates 2 programs out there. So we do have a tie. It's just
How to strengthen it.
non-official. Yeah, yeah.
To knock down some of the hesitation to move what's best for seniors all up in Salem. It's not a power thing. It's an inclusive.
But we have to remember there is so for those seniors, they like what they're doing. They don't want to do more. They're happy with they love their center as it is. And so just because I think, oh, you should be doing more, or you and I think you should be serving more seniors, their board of directors are quite content with what they're offering, the hours they serve. There isn't this, we want to be better, we need to do things differently. That is not, they're very happy.
The core is trying to find the volunteers. And they're all facing that, I'm sure. Right? So if that would be more of the talking point would be, how do we get more volunteers? For seniors, all up. I'm not necessarily saying let's all combine and be happy. Let's talk about volunteerism all up for seniors in Salem. What are they doing? How are they doing it? They're losing volunteers too. Everybody is. That to me is a joint effort, and where it grows from there, who knows? But to me, I see the 2 attached. Seniors, volunteers, all up. Well, this is what you're doing. Well, we're not doing it that way. Well, how are you doing on volunteers? Well, we have some problems too. Okay, then let's talk about it. Let's put our heads together. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a great, I mean, they are struggling, everybody's struggling with
Everybody's struggling.
volunteerism.
Yes.
So, I will remind everybody though, I am a public institution and I cannot implement programming that is going to be, discriminatory or closed, meaning I cannot, there are some guidelines and some policies that happen at other locations that legally we would never be able to do. And with that comes some pushback. That's where the push is. Don't tell us we have to let in unsheltered. Don't tell us that that we can't cast people aside. We're a membership. If we don't want them here, we don't have to have them there. Don't tell us we have to do those things. And so that can be a fine line for us because we are a public institution. And with that comes from responsibilities that other organizations do not want to have. That is a choice that they're making. And so we have to be very, very careful because we can't be their apple. We have to be our orange or whatever we are. I've never decided, are we the apple? Or they the
You make, I think, the excellent point that we don't want to be the organization that says you can't be here, you can be
You
here.
can't be.
And it's the control piece. They have control over who they are, what they are, and who gets to be part of them. And their board is the only, like if somebody went and said, well, I don't feel, people are telling me not to come back. Well, the only place they can go is to the board of that organization. And that's just not who we are and not who I would want Center 50 Plus to be. So I don't, they're being able to make those choices. I don't see as a luxury. I see that as a choice on their part. I see us really as having the luxury of being open to everyone. So.
It's by being.
And I know there are challenges to that.
There are challenges, but there's both sides to that
Absolutely.
piece. I have photo albums where we have pictures where there are posters on the wall and it says, should the city leave or should we leave? And there's these posters and that was really, and then next to it was a sign that says, if you are not a member, you cannot be here. And that is a historical piece that we have to be, that we're overcoming. Because I don't think mindset still is there at the same level. But I think there's still, I don't know. Like you said, the people that had the original things, they're not in this world anymore. So now it's just, what do you call them? Like, folklore or, you know,
Good.
yeah.
Stories remain.
So
Stories, yeah.
for the 9th, we'll invite the additional partners. Do we want to invite? I feel like if we invited like this volunteer association, that it might get a little muddy and maybe, because that is a piece of, like, if we deploy that in the strategic plan, then we can start meeting with them as that arm of that work versus, because we want to focus on volunteerism at this next meeting. That's not the focus. The focus is the strategic plan. And so, I don't know, Marilyn, we can talk about it more, but I think that it seems to me that we'd invite the other partners, and then as we dive in, if they agree that volunteerism and that continues to be a theme and we want to carry it forward and make a clear outline in the updated strategic plan, then we start doing the work, which would be then focus groups and meeting with, that I think we'd be getting the cart before the horse if we just started to dive into just that topic.
But I think, you know, for the sake of the conversation, citizen leadership is on our current strategic plan. And I think we can agree that it is still a strategic goal and still should remain. So we're moving in that direction.
Exactly, and then we can
Nobody
dive
do
deeper into the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this will be like the second cast the net to
It'll be
those
the
who
same
could.
conversation with a different group of people.
Right, but is there gonna be some one-on-one with the specific partners we're trying to get there? To be sure that you don't have April 9th and the partners you really want there are not there again.
We'll do our best. We'll invite to
well-
the best of our abilities. Yep.
Yeah, and otherwise, I think maybe we have to reach out to them and find a way to get their input, even if it's a one-on-one.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Well, and no matter what, we're gonna send them after the next meeting, we'll send them the survey as well.
Okay,
Yeah, and 3 people have completed the survey. I mean, it just went out, so it's not bad.
Good feedback?
I mean, I didn't dive in deep because I was trying to listen, but I did a quick browse and yeah, overall good.
One of the other strategic goals, though, is this 50+ programming and community connections, and that's basically cutting edge programming and serving our patrons. We had a goal of 150 surveys, and we exceeded that goal. We had an intern from Western Oregon, and so they're coming in April to share the results of our patrons. It was available through our online as well, but they also did some in person and paper. And so I think that'll be really interesting to start looking at that goal and, you know, identifying, you know, why is it in our strategic plan? Why is cutting edge why is that so important to us? And then comparing that with the results of, well, and how are we doing with that? Are we meeting people's needs? And so I think that's gonna be a really great gathering of information. Yeah.
And then we also talked about this a couple of months ago, but Marilyn and I tried to nail down some dates to take tours to other centers. We were looking at April 23rd or the 24th, going to Beaverton, Elsie Stir, Milwaukee Center, Lake Oswego or Oregon City, Hollywood Center, maybe Center of Aging. And then another date to go south, so Lebanon, Eugene, and some other centers south of Salem on a different date.
So we do like April and then do it again in May. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah.
These are city funded
There's a
apples to
combination.
apples?
There is apple to apple, but
Okay.
there is also, because one of the conversations is to evaluate if our current operational structure being city funded and nonprofit funded, the hybrid. If we're gonna look at one that's like us, we're gonna look at one that is all municipality, and we'll look at one that's a nonprofit. So when I'm looking at those, and we will take a peek at a Parks and Rec district one. Because that's just one more funding option that we wanna just, know. And then when we go down south, Lebanon is a city funded. And then in Eugene, there's a city funded one called River Road, and then there's Willamette Lane, which is a Parks and Rec district. So it gives us a couple of models. But there's no one exactly like us. We're not gonna find an exact orange, but we could find a tangerine. Yeah.
Because
So in
there's no one
terms-
like us.
That's right. But in terms of hopping on a bus and going on a tour, how are we feeling about that? Are there people that would be willing to do that?
I would,
And would April 23rd, what day of the week is that? That's National Volunteer Week, but that's okay.
It's a
because-
Thursday also.
Yeah.
Thursday.
It would be a Thursday to hop on the big bus and go somewhere.
yes. For me,
Okay, I was thinking that maybe if I get organized, we could maybe do a tour, then go to another site, do a tour, have lunch, then go hit one more and then cut back.
Full day.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree, as long as we're out, make a day of it.
Yes, we looked at the 24th being a Friday, 23rd, Tuesday, Thursday afterwards. So, I feel like you had said the Friday was better, I thought, for.
Friday is better for me personally, but,
There is a Marion Pope Food Share Board meeting the morning of the 23rd, Carolyn.
oh, okay.
And
Would
Marilyn,
anybody have a preference over Thursday or Friday?
I'm not sure I could go either day, but for sure not on the 24th.
On the 24th, no.
We could do it on the 23rd and, always.
Should be on an RV trip. I'd be back Thursday afternoon, so I could do Friday.
You could do Friday.
I don't care which.
and
We're kind of split.
Marilyn, if it helps with the reach, every week I'm up in, McMinnville, Newburgh, Wilsonville, Canby. If you want to send me on a scavenger hunt, so to speak, in any of those senior centers, I'm already in those areas. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you.
And I'm okay with you going on Friday. And me hearing about it,
And then maybe doing the south one.
depending upon the date, yes.
Talking a week apart, maybe, or you're just trying to get the first one done?
No, I think we will do the first one and then I wouldn't be able to do it again until near
Yeah.
mid to later in May.
Yeah.
Let me work on kind of a plan for, I'll call them. And if Thursday is worse than Friday, then I'll
Yeah.
let you know. But I think my first goal would be the 23rd, do our best. And then, let's all plan on the 23rd, unless I call them and they say, no, we have bingo on the 23rd, you can't come.
Unless you want to play bingo with us.
Sounds good.
I think one thing that keeps coming to me in my mind is, we basically have two plans. We've got our age-friendly communities action plan that lists these big broad categories of housing and transportation. And there's a lot of action over there. I think that one thing that I want to put for our notes is we really need age-friendly communities is our initiative forever. It's never done. And I think that it needs to be incorporated into our overall strategic operation plan. Its own category. or that there's some conversation about the lens in which we do all our work. Everything we do here is through the lens of age-friendly communities, place to live and thrive. And our current strategic plan doesn't speak to that. And I don't want to lose that from our conversation. I will say the strategic plan or the age-friendly communities lens, they're big goals, they're big areas, and then we have these actions. And they tend to be more of like the activity, like big goal, and then this is the list of the things we're gonna specifically do for that. So maybe it doesn't need to be fully incorporated, but acknowledged.
That's our list of things we wanted to go over. So thank you, everyone. Helpful discussion.
Well, this is good, so. Yeah, those are some big chunks. Yeah, and then we have some meetings coming up, and then we have the bus ride. And I think it's always very eye-opening to visit other centers. Should we go back? We do have a quorum. So should we go back and approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as stated.
Second by
Carolyn, are you leading us through this?
They're approved.
I think we need to say all in favor.
All in favor.
All in favor. Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Alright,
Anybody say no way?
Any opposed?
so same sign.
And so we're nearing what we needed to accomplish today. But I did want to share, I'll send out a staff update to all of you. It's very program specific, but this Friday, March 6th at 9 a.m. at the conference center is our Cup of Joe breakfast. This is our time where we celebrate what we've accomplished. It is the beginning of our 50th anniversary year, and we're celebrating our 50th all year long. I'm excited because last year people voted on what mattered to them. And this year you'll see a video of what we accomplished towards those goals. And then you'll get to vote again, which is kind of cool. We'll do that again. You'll get another chance. We added a couple of things. But the very, very last question on the survey is we are going to have a Center 50 Plus mascot.
Oh.
And the mascot is the Oregon Meadowlark. And we have an artist that is producing our very own, and we have our character of the Meadowlark. We're gonna name the Meadowlark. The very last is, what is this? What is our mascot and why is that so fun? Well, we just really don't have an identifying thing that people is like, oh, there's Betty the Beaver, must be a beaver. No, we just don't have that. We have a name with a swoosh, but what would bind us to familiarity with all generations? And we think this is gonna be kind of a fun thing. So please do the survey. Please come to the Cup of Joe first. If you don't have a table yet, you need to let me know. It's filling up. I'm meeting at 11 o'clock to assign everybody's tables. But I hope you will come. It's a really important time, and we'd love to have you there. And I think it's kind of cool to see other supporters in the room as an advisory commission, and we sit here and there's 15 of us or a dozen of us. Sometimes we forget about the massive amount of people that support Center 50 Plus. And again, a room of, close to 400, that's still even just an itty bitty fraction of those that really believe in the center. And so I've always believed really invigorated, and as an advisory commission that's doing this work, and sometimes a very thankless work, it feels good to know you're not alone. And so I hope you will join us for that.
And the Cup of Joe,
Lastly, for my director's report, I will. Go ahead,
and the Cup of Joe will last 1 hour.
Aaron, did you freeze?
Oh, I hope not. The Cup of Joe will last 1 hour.
Okay, yes, it's very fast. It's 9 to 10.
What did you mention about wearing pearls one time? What was that about?
So last year, so every year, what I talk about, because we talk about, as a director, I always speak to someone that influenced my life in my career. And I mean, I have thousands of people that influenced my life. Well, last year it was Winnie Brown.
Oh.
And Winnie Brown always wore pearls. And so my talk last year was, don't let the pearls fool you. Because her pearl, she was one strong cookie. And so, I gave away pearls last year and people were asked to wear pearls. And so people have asked, should we wear our pearls? And I said, absolutely,
Okay.
wear your pearls.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I dug up my pearls. And
good.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll remind everyone why we have pearls on
Okay.
during my talk. Yeah. Mhm.
You get, aw,
Mhm.
need some for the guys?
I know. I know. When I talked about Earl the year before, he didn't wear anything and he didn't wear pearls. So I didn't have a thing. Then last, so thank you for Cup of Joe. I'm gonna send out the report. I want to say thank you to Katie for leading our group, and she is on it. Look at these beautiful notes.
You
And look
are.
at this stuff.
My friend Claude and
Awesome.
yes, we had fun this weekend.
You and
There was no
Claude.
snow on the mountain and I was at Odell Lake, so I was like, all right, I guess I'll work on this.
Lucky.
There's no snow though. so-
Katie, I must say though, you kept the environment structured but casual. Everybody, you could watch the folks comfortable to talk. And you just kind of kept it moving. To me, it was a very comfortable environment for those
That was my goal.
stakeholders, so
Yeah.
you did good.
On a Zoom
was good.
call.
I feel like the compliment of people who were invited
Yeah.
was this, because when I walked in, I was like, oh. Those are, those are.
Right.
Yeah,
So.
it was very good. Then lastly, I didn't give a report and it won't be in my written report, but in February, we showed the video Age of Love, which is a documentary about a group of speed daters, senior speed daters in Boston. And it follows them through their relationships, and some made it and some didn't. It talks about people getting geared up to go to this speed dating and then their matches and all of these things, but it's really just about it's really essentially it demonstrates and overcomes the stereotype that as we age, we don't desire love. And it is amazing documentary. I'm sorry if you didn't see it. This is the second time we've done it. Well, the following weekend, we did our own speed dating event. And we had 15 women and 13 women, and we had 10 guys. And if everyone had showed up, it would have been 15 and 13. So it worked out. And they spent 2.5 hours here doing a speed dating event followed by a spaghetti feed. And we had every person got a match but one. A match means that they picked you and you picked them. So you may have picked, you might have been picked 6 times, but you didn't pick any of them, so you might not have had a match. But we had all matches, and some people had 4 and 5 matches, and it was so darn fun. They loved it. People were laughing and chatting, and they felt good. The men, fun. You know, they're a little more confident in some ways. They were a little bit, I mean, I wasn't sure. But for my women that came, and getting matches, their whole body language and self-esteem was just like, okay. You know what? I still am interesting. I still have something to contribute. And people came in with kind of a mindset of just, maybe I'll find a companion or someone to date for fun. But mostly they just came because they wanted to just meet people with common interests.
What was the ages of?
It was said to be 50 and older, but I will tell you the averages in the room were your upper 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
Everyone left really having a good time and asking them to do it again, and we are doing it again. At a Saturday in March, we'll be doing the speed dating event again, and so you never know, you might hear about a wedding or something around here, but nonetheless, the funniest thing of all though is we get done, they've been going around every 5 minutes, you ring the bell and they have to switch seats, and it goes, and it's really fast, and they have questions and you can hear people laughing. And then we went next door to have a spaghetti feed in the other half of the dining room. I thought, oh, it'll be so good. They can continue to visit. No, it was junior high. All the girls went to one table and all the guys went to one table. So I'm gonna rethink that next time when they eat together, they're gonna have to shake it up a little. So it was really cute.
Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that.
I know that was just an aside about maybe we're gonna have a wedding. I think, and I don't know whether it's appropriate to have, a session or anything, but one of the key articles I read in AARP deals directly with finance and being older and the idea of don't be messing with moving your finances together, because even if you think your will says you'll go this way, once there's a spouse, there are legal requirements where IRAs and things cannot go where you want them to go unless the spouse signs them over.
So a few of you came to the retirement conference in January, and Kathy Belcher spoke. And she talks about 5 things, basically 5 scenarios of why you need a will. And the number one was, let's see. What do you want your husband's next wife to have? And it was basically talking about the marital relationship and how it changes and what things that you should be doing about that. And she has a whole story about the casseroles coming out and all these funny things, but there are a lot of things that go into play. That's why we do the retirement conference and we talk about legal. And then the other is we do talk about, we may, as we see this progress, last time we did it, we started offering classes like how to date safely online, protections about personal information, how to date again, how to balance a new relationship with your grown children and the protest from your grown children. There's all these different things. I mean, it's endless. Huh, Lisa? Lisa's a life coach. She's she knows what I'm talking about. There are a lot of opportunities to address these relationship things. Yeah, but it was fun. It was really fun.
It's in there.
Yeah. Well, Carolyn, you can close out this meeting.
As on mute. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This was nice to see all your faces.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would it be a problem if I went down and talked to
I would prefer to kind of follow our plan right now of how we're doing. Yeah, but I would be happy to invite you into the meeting as we move forward. Yeah,
I just see their facility just the focus has become so narrow, and I don't know about Kaiser.
I tell you, Kaiser.
Right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, they're down to 2 days because of the.
Okay.
What is-
I'm incredibly sad.